oldest friend, literally.
Oh, okay.
Wait, I'll take
You got age jokes right now? Is that what we doing? Is that what we doing, nephew?
Well, no, because like when I met Sade, Ashley was really hesitant to like let me know how long she's known Sade. She said Sade's kind of appeared, and I'm like, this sounds like some biblical Genesis type stuff. But everybody, to reintroduce, this is episode 75. Everybody, we've lasted this long. So let's beer in what you guys got today.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Alice.
Yeah.
Samuel Adams, but I couldn't open it, so I bought me another Molson Ice.
You know, if you first you don't succeed, try again.
Alice, go get Pops a bottle opener.
Yeah.
Please.
Please, Auntie Alice.
Wait. What?
Go get Pops a bottle opener.
I got the screw top in. I put that back because
you might need two of them since Joshua doesn't have to go to work. We might be on here a little while today.
Oh my goodness! What?
This is one of them. This is a legendary show today. We're gonna.
It's a legendary.
Well, Grandpa got his Molson's. I got some Roke Brewing Company Live Wire Indian Pale Ale. This is from that grab bag my mama got me randomly. So we're gonna try this today.
Okay.
What you, Sade? What you drinking?
Water.
Wine. I'll do chair wine soda. Hold on, I'll go get it.
She done got a dog and everything in the camera. What y'all got, Auntie and Uncle?
Yeah.
We two-fisted.
What the hell is that?
I guess it's a good thing we already two-fisting since we didn't know we were gonna be on here extra time today.
We got a little eggnog.
All right.
And Jack Daniels.
Hey.
Oh man, that's pretty sweet there.
I want some eggnog now.
Yeah.
I got some Jack Daniels, Vince and
Frank.
They came out and they bought me 2/5. One of them is Jack Daniel Green and Jack Daniel Black with a glass.
We call the green one the evil twin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jack's evil twin.
So Pops, my eggnog is actually almond nog. I found an eggnog made out of almond milk that's a lot healthier. So since you're on your healthy kick, I'm the test dummy today to see if it tastes like real eggnog, because the one that Pooh has is 180 calories a glass. Mine is only 50 calories a glass.
I got regular eggnog.
It's an almond nog. I found it at Aldi.
Oh.
Okay, I like that.
Oh, and then we also got space dust.
That's the backup.
That's the backup. We was prepared. The Taylor's two-fisting today.
Lucky for y'all, I still got my random assortment pack.
Hey, look!
Everybody look at that. Come on now, y'all. Come on now.
Damn, yeah.
Everybody with their two drinks.
Now they
today.
need a second wine now. Look.
Chair wine. So actually, Ashley put me onto this. So I'm currently addicted to it. So thank you, Ashley.
Okay.
I think Ashley said she'll hop on a little bit, Sade.
Okay.
What was I gonna say? Since we got a guest, Sade, you go first on the beer and in. Give us rate your drink, but give us your background real quick for the people who don't know you.
Okay, so my drink, I rated a 10 out of 10. I drink it too often. I drink it every other. Someone's at my door. Every other day.
That's that ring doorbell.
My background, I went to school with your wife at UW. And I do IT, and project management specifically for NASA.
For NASA, yes, y'all heard this. Niggas ain't supposed to be astronauts.
Wow. Well, cheers to you.
Like the real NASA. She like this is legit. She is an astronaut.
I'm not.
Come on, Hidden Figures.
So how'd you get in? So go a little more into that. How'd you actually get into NASA real quick?
How did I get? Actually, I just randomly applied for a position, and I guess I was good enough, and they let me in. So
there you go, everybody. You too can be a part of NASA and go into space.
You just gotta be good enough, and you
gotta be good enough. So you say that cheer wine's 10 out of 10. It's easy to get into NASA. Okay, that's Sade's background.
10 out of 10. Pop's head about to explode. 10 out of 10.
See, Sade, what's amazing is he heard NASA, but he was like a 10 out of 10 on a drink. That's impossible.
You read my mind, didn't you?
He was like, he saw your face. He was like, I expect great things out of her. NASA should be nothing. But that 10 out of 10, we got to talk about that.
10 out of 10.
It's so good.
You just
I was 10.
giving out those old willy-nilly ratings.
He's like, they just like anybody in NASA now getting 10 out of 10.
That discredited the whole institution.
He's like, back in my day, all we could do was throw rocks to the moon while drinking straws.
Oh, goodness.
Grandpa, we already know what Molson's is, but you know, if you wanna humor me.
Yeah.
You got a beer in, Pops?
You talking about me introducing my Molson again?
No, I said beer in. You gotta give us a story with your drink.
Oh yeah, for the umpteenth time, man. It's a Molson. First time I put it up, it was made in Canada. Maybe that was a few years ago, though. So I better read and see if it's still made in Canada.
Who knows?
Molson Ice, they make some good beer. I understand.
We may not be able to go to Canada, but their beer can still get over here. So,
Oh yeah.
Pretty much.
So what y'all rating y'all's double fist today?
Well, you know, I'm gonna start mine. I'm gonna start out with a 6 there.
All right.
He's steady. Steady Freddy. Steady Freddy. I'm starting off with an 8. I love eggnog. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was about to say on this space dust, like.
Oh, space dust gonna be a solid 7.
Solid.
When's the last time you had space dust?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Maybe a 6.
Maybe. I'm going. Let's see. For the eggnog, for the almond nog, I'm thinking a good 8, 7.5, 8, and then with the space dust, I'm thinking probably about a 6.5 if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
So, cheers. Oh, nephew.
Oh, this live wire, y'all will love it. It's a 5 for me. So
y'all would love it. It's a 5. Basically, y'all like trash beer out of order.
Right. Cheers, y'all.
But since cheers, yes, everybody. Since Sade's the guest, I'll give you a choice because I have no idea how long you're gonna be on here. So we're gonna cover a couple topics today. One is how do you fix and handle interpersonal situations with family members, friends, and just anyone. Like, you know, last we were talking about at the end of the show, healing. Like, why is everything like you don't got to hold grudges and everything? And what ways can you get about it? Not necessarily forgive and forget, because if you don't want to, you don't got to. But how are some healthy ways of doing it? And the other topic we're going to talk about, obviously, is the Cuban help system. So, which one you want?
Wait a minute, we got to get a rules. Sade,
Okay.
whenever you hear the word Cuba, you have to drink. That's the rule. So it's already been said once, so drink up.
Yeah. Well, I saw my Cuba thing, so I'm pretty straight now. Cuba don't excite me all.
You're gonna be. That's 2 of them.
I guess we'll talk about interpersonal stuff because it normally takes Grandpa a second to gear up for Cuba. So
Yeah.
Come on, Josh.
I'm getting down now because the question I always kept asking, I found out
okay,
my satisfaction. So I'm pretty happy now.
all right. We'll forget.
Well,
Cuba.
I got an interesting question about the island country of Cuba.
Let Sade ask her a question first. Y'all gonna have us drunk.
Oh,
Hey,
yes,
we not
that's
even
it.
20 minutes into the show.
As a personal background, I'm not sure if Sade cares if I disclose, but she's actually not from Cuba, but she's from islands. I'm not sure which one, but
God.
Trinidad and
Thinking about
Tobago.
St. Croix because I'm thinking about going to St. Croix and laying in the sun. Old man like me, you know.
Come on with it, Pops.
St. Croix?
I think that'd be nice.
Can I go there now?
Don't you get on no plane.
Oh man,
Not on no plane.
Yes.
Can't. Nah, this man just died on a plane last week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They cleaned the plane up and kept the plane going.
He wasn't vaccinated.
you vaccinated?
Oh boy.
Are you vaccinated?
No, but I'm gonna get vaccinated.
Oh.
Everybody backing off, but I'm saying, you know, they talking about the long-term effects. I'm so old now. I'm talking about the short-term effect.
You know what? You know, Uncle Pooh, I can't fault Grandpa for going to get being the first people to get vaccinated. He be eating hog's head cheese out the can. If that ain't
you ain't worried about no little
He
vaccine.
drinks the juice out of the Vienna sausage can.
Oh,
yeah, like if that ain't got him, ain't no vaccine gonna take him out.
What'd you say, Pops?
You mean you saw me doing that?
Yeah, we see you doing that, Pops.
I thought I was doing it secretly.
No.
There's all types of vitamins and minerals inside the Vienna sausage can.
Pops say, I grew up, you don't waste nothing. Because we said the way he did it, we was like, Pops, you drinking the fat? He was like, we don't waste nothing around here. I said, all right.
I'm not old school, man. Like, you go on, then the peeling.
Oh my God. All right. Y'all let Sade answer her question.
You're a
Child.
chill river.
Oh, okay. So I'm supposed to ask a question?
No, I was saying you could choose which one you want to talk about first.
Oh, the first one, because I don't know anything about the Cuban health thing. So
okay. Well, all right. Well, interpersonal. Well, so at the end of last week, we were talking about I brought it up for this week's topic was because it's the holidays and it's, it's always stories about people having beef with family members and just people in general. And I'm just like, what are ways that maybe we have, or are positive ways to end beef with family or friends or whatever? Because and like I said, it not necessarily means forgive and forget. You just like something happened and just move on with it. Like, what are some ways that are healthy to do it? Because some people just hold it in, or they just keep avoiding it as opposed to handling it.
Yeah.
well, I think it really depends on what the source of the issue is, right? If it's something small that, could easily be resolved with a conversation versus something where it might be a deeper issue. And oftentimes when people have problems with family members, it might not necessarily be that family member. It might be something going on with themselves that they have, or an issue that they haven't dealt with within themselves, right? And they may be projecting the negativity that they feel within themselves on another person that's really close to them. So, I mean, yeah, like it depends. Like I think seeking some type of external counsel for a lot of these situations helps. Whether it be with a pastor or like a medical professional or what have you, to talk through those issues. I think a lot of times that having someone with an objective perspective on things helps to mend relationships or get people back together. But yeah, like, I don't know, it just really depends on what the problem or issue is.
No, that makes sense. I mean, so do you are you close to your family, like in terms of distance wise? Like, are you going to spend some holiday with your family or?
No, so unfortunately, like my plan was to go to Trinidad, but I can't because my grandparents are high risk.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to be spending the holidays with family this year. So distance wise, it's far, obviously, for me.
Okay. What about the elder statesman, Grandpa? How do you feel about family beef? Like, how do you handle just problems like with people? Like, is it just a thing that you allow fester? Like, what's the wise way to go about stuff like that?
Well, this last particular year, no situation. I keep seeing all that. The only thing I can't be able to absorb is the 125,000 people. People had 125,000 individuals who died. They all had their own personal problems, personal health problems, personal money problems, everything. But you put it into the perspective of 325,000, it becomes a number, But these last few days, I've been thinking about all the people, that have been. In fact, the communication I'm having right now, you speaking of how I deal with people, I'm having right now, it's a blessing for me because it's an opening for me to, to express myself. You sit around the house 5 or 7 days a week and look out the window and then go to the back and look out the back. And after a while, you become one of them characters that need a little mental help. So
So are you saying because of the distance that COVID has created, small stuff seems even smaller? So, but I mean, like before all this, right? Everyone's had an issue with somebody at some point in their life. Like, what are some ways that you guys have handled it? Like, you know, in your own way. Like, Auntie, how about you? You a
Well,
mama, you a wife. You done had a whole bunch of hats on in your life. You know what I mean?
well, I have no problem of addressing issues head on. Um, I am a fan of putting things out there in the open, airing it out, because you can't assume that anyone knows. If I have an issue with someone, it's my duty to bring that issue to them. I can't make any assumptions that they know exactly what the issue is or they know what they did to bother me, and then hold that and expect them to fix something that I don't know for sure that they know about. So for me, whenever I have an issue with somebody, I'll just bring it to the table. But I'm so okay with understanding that sometimes you just have to let people and things go too, whether it's family, friends, or whatever, and I'm really at the point in my life where I've had to remove a few people the last 5 to 10 years, and it hurts, but I know it's for the best. And especially if we tried to talk it out and it just didn't work. Like I had a friend, I had been friends with her since I was 4, and breaking up with her, it truly felt like a breakup, but I just realized that I was holding on to a friendship that wasn't there anymore because she obviously had something against me that I didn't understand. I didn't know. When I tried to talk to her about it, she made it seem like it was, but I just knew that that I didn't feel like I was being, I don't want to say treated properly, but I knew that what I thought what friendship was supposed to be, it didn't feel like that anymore. And so I just brought it to her, said what I had to say. Shoot, I just had this conversation with somebody else a couple months ago. I'm so okay with just saying, this is how I see it. I listen to how you see it. And either we can compromise and agree and get things back on track, or we just have to say, okay, well, I'm here, you're here. Love you. Bye. And I've just gotten to the point where I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. And I'm gonna address it head on. That's just me.
What you Uncle Pooh?
With alcohol, of course. Like, come on, like like any rational human being. No, I don't know. I don't really have any family beef or drama. I was on a call today though, and this woman, I don't know, I kind of missed part of it, but she like runs a nonprofit organization, and her nephew like wanted to get the hours, something about getting into the program. And she ran the program, and her sister, the nephew's mama, I don't know if he needed the hours. I don't know, right? I don't know exactly why he needed to get these hours from this nonprofit, but he didn't come in to do the interview. He didn't take part in any of the activities. He just wanted the reward and the payment from it. It's like $3,000 a month. So it was a job, right, or something. And but he didn't want to do any of the work. And basically, she told him, like, if you're not going to come in, you can't get the benefit, of the payment of the experience or whatever it is, just because you're my family member. And he refused to come in and still wanted the benefit. She cut him off, right? She was like, nah, this is crazy. That will create fraud inside of my organization. I'm not about to do that because you're my nephew and you just don't want to do the right thing. So she cut him off, and the family cut her off.
Wow.
Like, yeah, that was just, that's crazy. It was crazy. And like literally people were like, asked how did she deal with it? And she said, they cut me off. What do you mean? Like, I still let them know that I love them, but we just, the relationship just never really built any further for, like, I think she said it was like, it lasted like a year to 18 months. And then they started coming back around or whatever. But she was just talking about how, hey, if somebody got an issue with you, they just it's their issue. There's nothing you can really do about it. You can't drive yourself crazy.
Okay, that's interesting, because that now it tears into this, because you all, like you and You know, you both are business owners, and Sade is also one. So, how do you guys handle interpersonal relationships with your employees or people you contract out to, you work with? Because that's different. Because that's money. You know what I mean? And with family, like you guys just gave examples of, he's like, I just gotta let you go. But when contracts are involved, how do you navigate those situations? Sade, you want to go first because you've had to deal with several situations.
Well, my business is very small, so the only employee is myself. But
I was about to say, when I have issues with myself, I say, Crystal, get it together.
Well, no, I mean, like, but you guys are all still service based, right? You still have to talk
Yes.
to like customers and people who buy things and you sell things too. So it's like
Okay.
there's interpersonal relationships and everything. How do you handle those? Because it's like you don't have backgrounds with most of these people who are buying things from you, so you just gotta kind of just navigate it from level zero.
Yeah. So as far as interpersonal skills are soft skills that are important in general, right? So even if you have your own business or if you're working for someone, like being able to communicate with them and in a way that's proper and professional, but also has, you know, um, some level of sensitivity is important. So generally, if I have an issue with someone, I first try to address it as soon as possible, but I like to pull them aside. So I don't want to have a conversation with like other people around to listen in, nor do I want to feel like I'm bullying that person, right? And just, similar to how Miss Crystal Taylor said it, just put it all out there. Hey, I feel like, there's a problem or an issue you might have with me and I just want to address it. Like if I said something to offend you, that wasn't my intent, like let me know what's bothering you. Let's try to fix it. So that's usually how I try to address
Quick
issues in
follow
the
up
first place.
is do you handle that the same with everyone? But like you're in project management, some of you guys are business owners. Like, what
Mhm.
about when power dynamics are involved? When you're like the authoritative figure, like how does that change how you handle interpersonal situations like that?
I think it's different when I think it's harder when you're not the authoritative figure. Because I feel like when you are the authoritative figure, there's a level of respect that someone on your team is supposed to have for you just because you're the manager and you're coming from a power dynamic versus when it's the other way around. I have to choose my words a lot more carefully when it's my boss, right? Because I don't want to offend them. I don't want them to feel as though that I'm not doing my job because again, yes, this is about, my paycheck at the end of the day. So I feel like I navigate those two different types of job roles differently when it comes to dealing with issues. And that's just me. I can't speak for anybody else.
I say I don't, because I feel like in all communication, I attempt to be respectful, period. And so I think that, like when you said that, made me think about, you made me go back to my corporate America days, and if I would respond differently to a frontline employee compared to the SVP or whoever. And I didn't, just because I feel like everybody deserves respect. So that frontline employee should receive the exact same level of respect that I would give the SVP, and the SVP deserves to give me the same amount of respect that the frontline employee would give me. So, and I found that even with that, when it came to management, people who are so-called higher in the hierarchy than me, that they respect it when you're direct with them. If they're comfortable in who they are. Some people are cowards and don't want anybody to say anything to them, period. But but if they're just a human being, they'll respect that, because I remember a case where I was communicating with the CEO's brother. And I was like, oh, he was foul. And I was sitting and I sat back on it and I was like, what do I say? And I said to him what I would say to anybody else. And it actually, because I didn't mince my words, I was direct, but still respectful. Everything was all good. But I think even with my business now, I talk to everybody the same way. As long as you're respectful and courteous, I don't think, but Pooh, do you feel something different with how you communicate with Ian versus anybody else on your team?
Nah. Nah, I'm just kind of who I am, so I just communicate with everybody pretty much the same. Obviously I'm not a tyrant, at least not all the time. But yeah, I think everybody deserves the same amount of respect inside of the company.
Do you feel like you have to? Well, I was thinking about how your relationship is with Ian versus everybody else. Do you feel like you could be more direct with him than you can with others, and you think about your words more with them just to make sure you're not offending them because they may not know you as well?
I'm pretty much direct with everybody, like if I gotta say it, but I don't joke with them as much. Like me and Ian like got a real friendship, so I'm just always ragging him about something, or he always giving me shit over something. But we know each other pretty deeply, so everybody else, I know I can't do that immediately, even though I like to keep a light atmosphere. I'm always telling some sort of joke, but I wouldn't poke at like a Meredith or whomever, and maybe Freddie. I'll give Freddie some mess. But that's
well, Grandpa, what about you, man? You're the head of the the patriarch of generations of people. How do you navigate through all of that?
I say, Pops, do you have conflict with people? Pops just seems so laid back. Pops put his headphones on and act like.
I'm hearing that, and I ain't got no comment. We got to talk about Cuba and I come up with a comment. No, but I understand, the times you're talking about dealing with people. There are times when you may say something to somebody, but it's not in relation to them. You're talking about something else, but then you could hit a spot where they think you talking about them. I don't know whether it ever happened to you. You're talking about something that happened 2 weeks ago in another incident, but the relationship there is like, hey, he must know, he must know something. But anyway, no, I'm sitting back here enjoying myself. Come on and enlighten me.
Oh, I thought he was gonna say, "Come on, let's talk about."
Right, I thought he's about to say, "Let's wrap this up and let's go to that island."
This is the last part. This is the last part of this.
But nephew, you didn't answer how you handle yours, though.
Well, it is like in every situation it depends. So if it's like at work, if I feel completely secure in my position, like, dang man, I'm rocking. Like, I'll talk outside of my neck to people. It don't even matter.
Nephew.
No, I'm just playing. But it really depends on each environment I've been to. Like this current position I'm at is a lot of people are, it's a situation where as long as everyone's doing their job, they really don't care. So it's like you're just kind of loose with it. But I've been in jobs where I honestly felt like I don't want to be here very long. Like I don't trust nobody here. It just seems like it's just it's a trick bag. And in those situations, I think it's important to remember if you start feeling like you're losing yourself being around these people that you work with, then that's a sign. It's like it's a matter of time, because you shouldn't like not just for family, like any interpersonal relationship, whether it be with a boss, a family member, a loved one, a friend, somebody off the street. When you get to the point where you feel like being yourself is a detriment, it's a bad situation.
Yeah,
and you need to make sure that you're putting yourself in the best position to succeed, because I'm a firm believer that most creatures, most living creatures are selfish. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're putting yourself first and trying to be the best, take care of yourself, you're as a byproduct of that, you should be less of a burden to everyone else around you. Because if you can take care of yourself to the best of your ability, you should be able to not have to require as much help from others. That's just my little sidebar. That could be a whole other conversation, because and it's like, and when I say selfish about that is, it's like I was saying earlier, if you're at a work position or you're with somebody that you don't feel comfortable being yourself around, like if you can't do that, then you're thinking too much, right? You're thinking more about how am I going to cause this person to react than actually doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that lowers your job performance, that lowers your health performance, because if you're adding stress to yourself, like chemical reactions aren't helping. Like there's proven things about this. Like, I know people who like, it was a friend of mine from college who got into the like Hollywood industry, and they were stressed for a little bit. And they started losing their hair in their 20s, and they had to make a change. And it's like, once you see the reason why I brought this up for interpersonal day is because, like everything, we're tying it back to our community, and there's no reason that there couldn't be positive ways to love yourself but still be able to handle conflict, because conflict's going to happen regardless, because as long as you're living, you're at odds with something. But there's always ways to handle things in the best way that you can prosper, but doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do harm to others unless it comes to that. And we do these episodes of, we've learned about like grandpa's life through several generations of living as a Black person in America. We've had guests like Sade coming here with different things. Like all jokes aside, like Sade's got her own business. She's working for NASA. A lot of niggas can't even spell NASA, and you and it's through, and it's not just through learning. Like going to college is one thing, but we each had to navigate interpersonally through each situation. Like, like how many times have you felt that you got to come up that you didn't necessarily deserve just because you're being yourself? Like, it's like you're thinking to yourself, man, this was too easy. But that's a trap we have to get ourselves mentally out of, because I feel in society, we're taught to be in a situation where there's certain ways and avenues that you need to do to succeed. And it frowns upon individuality. When you're and it goes back to what I was saying at the very beginning of my spiel here. If you're in a situation of any interpersonal relationship where you're feeling like being yourself is a detriment, then you shouldn't be in that situation.
I have a question, right?
Yes.
Because
Stop.
you and I are in similar fields. We're in IT. Not that many
It's cooked,
color in IT.
on this
There's
slice.
not that many of people of color in IT in high positions, right?
I'm
So
on
there's
Landshark
a
now.
lot of huh?
I'm on Landshark Island style lager now.
Dad will probably like that one.
He did. We rated this like 6 months ago. Continue, Shadi.
So there's a lot of bias that we have to deal with. So it's not just it's hard to just be yourself, right? Because you feel a lot of weight and you feel a lot of pressure as a person of color to represent your race, because you want to make sure that you make it easier for those coming in behind you. So I get what you're saying, but at the same time, if I don't feel, which is kind of sad in a sense, but I don't feel I could be 100% myself in those working environments, because I feel like I am, as far as a woman of color in project management in IT, they're looking at me as an example for any other person coming in younger, whether they're an intern or what have you, as far as, letting them in the door type of situation.
Are you asking me that, or are you asking everybody?
Well, I guess everybody, because these are
I would say my answer really quick, because I know Auntie and Uncle are just ready to jump on that one. I can see it in Auntie's face. But but like, first and foremost, like through my self-education, I'm 100% going to say I see myself as a Black man, and everything I do is, if anyone's going to see this, is going to be as a Black person, because it very rarely has being called a person of color actually done me anything good for myself. And knowing that, I would say that anything I do in the IT department, whenever people ask me, I'm like, yeah, I'm Black. I'm light skinned, I'm Black. I don't have rhythm, but I'm Black. But all things aside, I see what you're saying, but I would also say that it's like that's something that we have to get ourselves out of in that terms of thinking, because we can't change an environment to make it okay for ourselves if we're working for someone else, if we're constantly trying to put a muzzle on it. Like I said at the beginning, if you find yourself in an environment where you can't be you can't be who you are, then it's not a good environment for you. Now, I'm not saying quit your job or anything. No. I'm not saying quit your job or anything, but like, yeah. I'm saying this. every job or position I've been at where I felt like I was uncomfortable being at who I am as a person, or I had to feel like walking on eggshells, I wasn't there very long. Either because the contract ran out, I didn't do well with those people, or it was just a bad situation. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to this in the sense that whether you're qualified or not, or you're doing more work or not, if you're just in a bad spot, you're in a bad spot. And if you're going to be in a bad spot, you might as well be who you are. Because then when you succeed, it's as who you're supposed to be. And people can relate that to everyone else quoting after you. If you're talking about making the doors open for everybody else who's like you, or who's Black or African American, or wherever you want to say. But I do think that it's a detriment to try to play the game in a way that you make other people feel comfortable, especially if you're already doing the job excellent. Like if you're knocking stuff out and you're rocking and you like, you're just being excellent, and you got to still play the game. You're making other people's, like, if you're trying to put everyone in the spectrum of all Black people have to be like this, and you have to put yourself in that box just to succeed, that's not fair.
Well, yeah, so I'm not saying that all Black people need to be put into a box necessarily, or you shouldn't. It's more so about, how do I explain it? It's more so about, we're not seen, like, statistically speaking, right? We're not at the C-level positions. You don't see us there.
C-level as letter C, or
like
C as S-E-E?
Hmm?
C-level as like the letter C, or S-E-E?
Like the letter C, so like CEO,
C-suite.
C-suite, the C-suite.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just going to clarify because I didn't know. Maybe someone else didn't know. Oh, here's my baby.
Hey, Ashley.
That's not your baby. That's my niece. Hey, niece.
Hey, Auntie.
Wait a minute. Somebody's missing.
There are 6 of us.
Hey, Grandpa.
No. I see 2 Taylors, and I see where's my baby? Where's my nephew's son?
He
right
is upstairs. He is with Grammy in the living room while Mommy runs errands for Christmas groceries. I had to go to the Asian Mart because we are having Chinese food for Christmas.
Gotcha.
I am not cooking.
You look so pretty, niece. Oh,
Thank you. Okay. I figured I'd see you guys today, so I would,
Your friend Sade was breaking down some questions right now, but you want to take that response
about being yourself as a Black person in corporate?
Well, what she was referring to, because she was. Were you done, Sade? Were you giving some statistics?
Sorry, I just got a ping about work. Hold on. Go ahead.
Well, one thing I was thinking when she said it with, and Pops, I would love to hear your opinion on this too, on if you ever felt like you had to not be who you were while you were working, because of being Black. But I will say I was laughing to myself when she was talking about that, because I worked for a parking company. It don't get no whiter, and it don't get no white manner than that. And I would typically be the only Black white manner than that. And,
that's pretty damn white. Man.
That's white. As my old boss used to call them, old pale white males. That's what she used to call them. Stale pale white males. That's what she called them. Stale pale white males. But I ain't learned. She said it, not me. But it was the truth. And I remember, I told y'all before, I used to love walking in and being the only Black person, especially being a Black female. And you could tell who has their guards up initially, but then after a while, they realize it doesn't matter what this looks like here. What's in here, you can't match, right? So within the first hour, I pat myself on the back. I had them all wrapped. They all love me. It's all good. But there were times where I would purposely say, well, because before I cut all my hair off, first I had locks. Then I would have like a little fro. So when I was going to train, I would wear what I consider to be my non-threatening hair. So instead of it being in the puff or the fro, me walking in like Black chick, I might twist it, and pull it to the side, or, something more pleasant. And then I got to the point where I was like, the hell with that, I'm gonna be me. If I feel like rocking a fro today, I'm gonna rock my fro. Just like I think in corporate America, we think too much as Black people. as opposed to just being us. Because even when I was considering piercing my nose, I was so afraid that they were going to look at me as this thug for being Black with a pierced nose, with my tattoos and all this stuff. And one day we had a fire drill, and I'm standing next
They
to
thought you were a thug because you from St. Louis.
East St. Louis. Get it right, nephew. Get it right. But we're in a fire drill, and this white chick standing next to me with her nose pierced. And I thought to myself, I bet you she didn't think twice about piercing her nose. She just did it. So why am I thinking twice? I asked her how to maintain it, and then I went and pierced my nose. I was like, stop thinking about it, but I'm at the point, like you said, Joshua, I'm not about to be anywhere where I don't feel like I can be me. And that's part of the reason why I had to leave that job, because there was a time when I loved the job. I was just fun, me. And then it got to the point where I couldn't be.
Auntie.
Yeah.
How much more successful have you been since you abandoned the idea of you had to play a part versus just being yourself working?
Hell, I can't even put a percentage on it. If nothing else, the question for me is, how happy have I been? And that's the success.
I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, that's the measure of success for me, is my happiness.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, finish your statement.
No, I'm just saying, to me, that's the measure of success. Success is happiness. Right. Just I was at the point where I was completely stressed, and it's hard to perform for another business or for yourself, no matter what, where you are when you're stressed and unhappy. So just from that alone, way more. And by the way, don't get the almond nog, y'all. Get the regular.
Get the regular. But mine's gone.
I wasn't trying to be rude, Sade, because I saw you laughing when she was saying the stuff, and I was like, I wasn't poking at you. I was just saying.
No, I agree fully with what she's saying. So I think as far as my career goals, right? I'm here at this particular job. I'm getting the experience. I'm trying to make sure I open doors behind me. So it's IT. And the exposure and the work that I'm getting, I'm not going to get anywhere else. However, the end goal isn't for me to stay there, right? I'm going to go and transition and do my own thing. So I do believe, especially in your career, you need to be happy in what you're doing and working every day, since you're spending most of your time, doing that. So I think that's absolutely the truth.
I think for me too, what I can say is that, like, I always scare my mom because I don't particularly change how I look when I go into a job interview. And I personally make it a point that when I'm interviewing for a company, the same way they're interviewing me, I'm interviewing them. Mm-hmm. So I tend to go into interviews with my natural hair, whether it's, even if it's up in a ponytail and just super poofy, or whether it's my twist out, whether it's like my wash and go, I try and get through the initial interviews with my natural hair. Even like if my hair is already straightened, I may even go ahead and wash it the night before so that I can gauge that reaction early on, so that I don't waste my time, because I want to be able to change my hair as often as I'm gonna. Sometimes I want to wear a sew-in, sometimes it's gonna be a wig, sometimes it's gonna be, crochet braids, it's gonna be twist. Like, I want to have those options. And so I like to start early on and just be like, I need to see what your reaction is and what the people around you's reaction is, so that I can see what kind of company you're going to be. And it's made me happier at companies, I've noticed, than when I tried to go in with a specific image. Like, I'm still polished, I'm still neat, I'm still clean, but like, I wear my hair. I wear my hair in its natural state so that I can get that vibe. And I think it makes, for me, working easier, and it makes me more open to bring more people into the company that I work for.
I have a question for you. So I can't remember what it was, what show or movie, but back in the day, they were, what was it? Or maybe whatever it was, they were showing how Black men back in the day, when afros were big, they would wear their hair patted down when they went to work, or especially in the military. And then when they were off duty, they would pick their froze out, right? Because they couldn't be black like that and work on the military. Did you ever experience anything like that, or do feel like you modified what you were doing for work?
You hear us, Grandpa?
Was she talking to me?
Yes, sir. No, I was saying that I remember a show or movie or something back in the day where they were showing how men who had afros, they would tie their hair down so that when they went to work or when they were in uniform, their hair looked similar to mine. But then when they were off duty, they would pick their hair out to pick their froze out to show how black they were. Did you ever experience anything like that or feel like you had to modify how you would typically be while you at work?
No, or back in the day in the military, you know, the afro was out, you know, and after in the later years, I got a picture. I thought about it the other day. I got a picture, you know, and of me with a semi-afro. First, I thought the afro wasn't right, you know. But as I got older, I didn't care no more. So I had my hair with a half of afro on, you know.
Why do you think the afro was right?
Why I think it wasn't right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, because at the time, you know, it was almost like a penalty, you know. You got going around with an afro, they thought you were more of a, I don't know.
Like a militant or activist or something like that?
Troublemaker, you know. Black man. Can't explain. I'm getting an echo.
That's Ashley speaker in the car.
Oh. Every time I said so, I said, "Get it." Oh, I'm getting that.
Rapper like this, Molson Ice hitting just right.
Molson does it again.
And he's straight up promoting, ain't he? Molson needs that shot. He got it right up in the front
Right
next
up
to the
in
camera.
there. Pop's got a paid. He got a paid spot.
This makes me think though, because I gotta talk to Sade later. Now I know she's trying to do, because I have no PM experience, but I'm technical. So whenever you start your company, we have to work together. So just trying to get paid out here. You see my wife, she's like, yeah, I'm pimping him out already. She's like, make this money.
By the way, this beer is just as marginal as it want to be.
I told you.
This
with 5
Island style is this is a 6.
Lies you tell,
down to the
nephew.
5.
That land shark is nowhere near 6.
I think we're gonna get this. We're gonna get this to the boy.
That's what I thought when you brought it in. You see, I was like,
"Wait, you talking about your nephew's son or your actual son?"
the actual son. Now, his nephew's son wouldn't drink this. This is swill water. He'd be like,
all right, you know what? Because I don't want to start making food. 5.5. This is a 5.5.
That's it. You know what? I'm gonna use this to make the shrimp tomorrow. I'm making beer battered shrimp.
I don't even want that in there.
So I might need to do this or the little something, one or the other, but I'm gonna do beer batter.
But
sir,
what time do we eat?
I wish I could bring you some, Pops.
Hey,
come on.
I'm coming over there.
And bring my dollar.
Hey, you can have some shrimp, but you can't have no steak.
As I say, bring my dollar and my donuts.
Hold on, before y'all get into that, I want let's drag, because Shada actually lives in DC. So y'all let's pivot to this.
Wait a minute, hold on, Ashley. Go pick up your granddaddy and go and bring him on over here since you in the car. Come on.
Let's pivot to this, because Shada actually is in DC. How has the transfer of power gone? Like, you actually see it every day.
Listen, I've been in the house, so I haven't really seen. I've seen the same thing you see on the news. I've been social distancing. No, but jokes aside, I think here it's the feeling is of relief, kind of, from everybody, where we just didn't want to deal with Trump anymore. Not necessarily super excited about Joe Biden, more excited about Kamala Harris, but
why?
So
no, I hear that deep Excel. We need some facts.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Pops just leaned up.
It's
Your
nice.
uncle and stretched his back out.
That's his girl. He about to go. He about to. Hey, y'all about to get this work.
I actually had an interesting conversation with my friend about this yesterday, because it's nice to see a Black woman as a VP. You can't take that away, especially for all of us Black women who work hard every day. It's one of those things. But I think where there's a little bit of fear is, what policies are we going to put in place specifically for the Black community? What are we going to do? Right now, that's not necessarily being addressed in the first 100 days. So you get a little bit of
not necessarily. They said they're not. They said there's no plans of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So so that has, especially, and I think there's a difference between like generation wise between older Blacks versus younger millennials, where I feel like with older Black people, they understand politics a little bit better. They've been around more, so they understand that or are more accepting of that, where I feel like with the younger generation, millennials, us, there's a dissatisfaction with that. Which
You got it right here. Ask Grandpa.
in terms of how we feel about them not doing any policy specific for Black people in the first 100 days.
No, just about, you said older Black people understand the game. Ask Grandpa.
Well, yeah. So, Grandpa, what's your opinion? What's your perspective?
I'm an observer.
No, Grandpa, tell the truth. Like, how you feel about this transition to power? Like, what do you think about stuff that's going on?
The transition of power?
Yeah, like everything we just said. Like, what do you think about it? Also, Shorts Brew Superfluid is next.
I'm number 3 within an hour. I'm here for it.
I'm on vacation.
Like
No judgment.
So,
Come on,
Grandpa,
Pops.
what Sade is asking is, or saying is, she's saying she believes that younger Black people are too impatient with the system, where she's saying older Black people who have been through this, all the times and stuff like that, are more, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but understanding. Is that what you're getting at?
More progressive or more aggressive?
She's saying younger people
I'm asking now.
or more lenient, I should say that.
Yeah, she's saying older Black folks are more lenient and younger Black folks.
She's saying you older generations be shucking and jiving for the white man.
That was me and you. I said everything is incremental. You want to have it overnight. And I was saying,
yeah, see,
I saw the Jackie Robinson when he made it, and then I saw so-and-so when he made it and so on, but it was incremental. And now we're at where we're at now. I've never seen no advancement, boom, it was all over in a day. And Freddie said, I'm saying now we got to the corner, we turn in the corner, and we're going down the left-hand side of the street, and it looks pretty good to me. But Freddie said, yeah, man, I ain't waiting. The heck with this system, I'm going out there and go for it all. And I'm saying, no, it's incremental. So far, all my life, I've never seen no big progression, a little bit at a time. I remember when they integrated the Army, but then they didn't integrate the Army. And then after a while, they started to integrating the Army. It was a slow process, even though they started in 1947, it was 1950 with the Korean War when they began to integrate the Army, but it was incremental. And as we see, right, everything we got now, we didn't never get overnight. It has grown. And I'm saying this is where we're at now. We're turning the corner and we're making that other move. But I'm not looking for no big move. I'm looking for incremental move. So with Kamala Harris in there, it's wonderful. That's one of those incremental moves. And we got the first time in the history a Black woman being vice president. We had a Black president. It was all incremental. Everybody that expected President Obama was president to do these big things. And I'm saying Republicans and Democrats, it doesn't make any difference because you got people who are anti-Black and they didn't change party.
Grandpa, you about to maybe transition to this, man. But before I hop on that, Grandpa, Shorts Brew Superfluid is a 4. This stuff tastes like earwax. So
you're going down and down. Hold on, I got something for Pops. So from 1885 to 1914, 1915, King Leopold killed 15 to 20 million Congolese people with his rule over the area.
Okay.
They removed him from quote unquote power, and then the Belgian government took over their reign of terror. In the 1930s, they started talking about allowing the Congolese people to have dominion over themselves, but it needed to be a slow process.
It was.
We can't possibly turn over controls to these Negroes.
And it was.
How could they ever know how to manage themselves and what equality feels like? We've had our foots on their throats for so long, they couldn't possibly, let's wean this thing out. And over the next 35 years, that's exactly what they do. Go ahead.
Let me say this. With Patricia Lumumba, I remember well when he went to jail. I remember when Burning Spear, Jomo Kenyatta, when he was raising that trying for the colonialization. I remember when Juan Nkrumah, all of them came, but it was all, even though they were out fighting, it was still incremental. And a good thing was that we would talk about Fidel Castro when he was over in Namibia. It was incremental. He fought over 8 years. He saved, I guess, Nelson Mandela. But the thing about this was, he didn't do it overnight, and nothing has seemed to be done overnight. And we're at this position now. We're doing well.
The thing is, though, Pops, I know for me, and Pooh, tell me if this is for you too, the frustration that I get with the incremental change is that it only seems to be incremental for us. For everybody else, they make changes like that.
Before Grandpa answers that, I'm gonna get back to Sade for a second. So, are you a part of? So you're saying our generation? Are you saying that you feel that incremental change is like? Are you happy with it, or are you more towards like this is enough? Because like because I don't want to give too much in the other topic I want to bring into for this because this is very important. I don't want to give it, but yeah, give that real quick.
So I was just speaking from in general terms, which isn't necessarily my personal opinion.
My personal opinion.
Yeah. So my personal opinion is that I do understand incremental change. I understand we're not going to be able to see progression in our various generations. It's going to take time. However, I do feel as though there is a dismissive nature, specifically within the Democratic Party, when it pertains to policies that are going to help Black people. And I feel like there's been a lot of excuses made as to why we can't work on certain policies at a certain time, which don't make sense. And I understand it now from an economic standpoint, me being an adult, me understanding my local government and federal government a lot more, and me knowing, okay, specifically what things are things that we can actually implement and do for Black people that we can actually do right now. So I'm not really buying necessarily that we can't do anything. Like there should still be some sort of policies that should be put in place. And I feel like, to be honest with you, I understand that we have, the global pandemic with COVID. So any policy specific to Black people aren't going to be addressed in the first 100 days, but I feel like that's an excuse. And I feel like one or two policies could have been done.
You're setting me up for what I want to ask next.
Okay.
So here's what I want to get into with that. So as we've seen, countries outside the United States have given relief to their people in the during this situation financially in the orders of magnitude greater than the United States. And the United States, quote unquote, is supposed to be the most wealthy nation. Now, this particular part is really interesting, though. Have you felt, Sade, there's been a change of how Black people see every group of Black people because of this? Because there's been a big push for a reparations movement. Now, reparations in America, by definition, would only affect those native-born Blacks.
Right.
Do you feel there's been some type of animosity in the Black community in terms of reparations, and only reparations towards yourself because of your birth status?
I think.
Do you feel like what I'm saying is only for that? Like, do you feel like when it comes to like our community, when you're like it's not, I am not addressing the fact that like you're obviously Black, you're a Black person, we're all Black. What I'm saying is from the legal part of it, and we're talking about getting monies and operations, things like that. Like, because I'm obviously if you're coming over from different nation, you there's different things that you're allowed that I'm not allowed to,
right?
Or anyone else. do you feel that that's going to be a hurdle for the Black community now, if and when the reparations happen? And what have you seen changed since that conversation has ramped up more?
I think that there has been more of an emphasis on the difference between a Black American versus a Black from any other country outside of the world, with the specific discussion on reparations. I do feel like there's an animosity there, but I feel like I understand exactly why that there is an animosity there. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. For someone like myself, whose parents aren't from America, still Black, right? Still went through the slave trade and everything, but grew up in a different country, I can understand where, I don't think I should get reparations as it relates to Black Americans, because it's technically, my family wasn't here for that. I also think that culturally rise in terms of Black American culture, there is a difference than for Black people who grew up in countries that are predominantly Black, who have Black people in positions of power.
Can you speak on some of those?
Yeah. So I think, for instance, seeing Black doctors, seeing Black people in high positions, having a Black prime minister, all of those things play into part in terms of our mental development and mental growth. So it's not, I always knew that I had the ability to become someone that's not necessarily in the entertainment industry or what have you, and be successful. And I feel like specifically in the Black American culture, the visibility of Black professionals outside of the entertainment industry is limited. And that does play a part of the Black psyche, and is a part of how Black people feel they can be successful in this country. I think also in terms of, I believe in systematic racism. I believe that, especially for Black youth who grow up in this country and don't have the opportunities to be outside of their own community, to see what's out there, to see what possibilities are out there, that limits and stops essentially any type of growth. And so you have generations not getting outside of poverty. I think all of that plays a part in the Black American culture. So when it pertains to reparations and what I believe the reparations should be, I don't necessarily think it should just be money given out. I feel like there has to be a very strategic manner in which money is used for Black people in these communities, as far as development and growth, like a plan of growth or of passing down generational wealth and what have you, so that it actually does something. So yeah.
No, this excellent. Like Uncle Pooh Bear, do you want to respond? Oh, Grandpa has a book. What were you saying, Grandpa?
I was just reading this part about Ronald Robinson, and he was saying it doesn't matter whether you are for reparations. He said the whole northern and southern hemisphere, the Black people, all the islands, 400 or 500 years of those people got rich off of free labor. It didn't just apply here. So reparations applies to all of us. It doesn't matter whether you were from Jamaica or you from Alabama. You got 500 years of people storing wealth over these hundreds of years, and they're all rich now. They owe you. And they owe you, and they owe your ancestors.
I think the legal ramifications is, so you're from, where are you from again, Sade?
Well, hold on, because what Pops is saying.
Before you get into that, where are you from again?
She's from Trinidad, right?
Well, so I was born here, right? But my parents are Trinidadian, so they came over here to go to college. So they ended up going to Howard University. So that's how I ended up being born here.
So I think, Grandpa, the thing is, in terms of legally, as a Black community, Sade should support us to get reparations from America, and we should support her family from getting reparations from Trinidad as well.
That's what he's saying. That's what I was about to refer
Yeah,
to.
I gotta make it clear for people who are watching the show the legal ramifications of what that means.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of this entire discussion, to be honest, is crafted by white people to keep you talking about absolutely nothing and be distracted from unifying on the main issue. And I'm not saying white people are behind ADOS. I'm talking about white people are distractionary folks are behind this concept of, well, who are you talking to? We need to all be together, because all of us involved that really understand what's happening know that people from Trinidad not about to get in on the check that the United States of America needs to cut, right? They're going to get in on the Spanish check that they need to cut, because all of these criminals need to be in world court and paying out the nose, right? All of those empire universities are empires that built on our backs need to be cutting checks. So no, the Trinidadians don't need to get the United States money, but they need to get that Spain money. And the Jamaicans need to get that British money. Everybody needs to get
France.
Right, and France, right? Everybody needs to get their cut from these empires that built on the backs of the people. So we still need to unify, but I just think all the bickering on the edge is just that. It's on the edge.
And there is a lot of bickering. There is a lot of bickering to the uninitiated, because like we're saying, we're talking legal terms. Because I'm not saying I don't want the good sister Sade to not get her bread, because now we're business partners, and when she starts her practice, she needs a technical person to be involved with it. But that's neither here nor there. So what I'm saying is we need to better educate ourselves on what this situation is, because there are legal things owed to all of us, but there's many, the ways in order to get it requires not only our support, but our understanding of each person's situation. Mm-hmm. Because like Sade said, her family came over here, but she was born here. So by land right, she has some rights to a few different things. But to understand that, you have to understand the legal history of what things that happened. So that's the major point I'm getting to. So what I'm saying is, when we bring it back together to the interpersonal side, how do we explain to our community that though we are Black, all Black, we do have to figure out how to legally get what's owed to us for our betterment? And like Sade said, it can't just be money. It has to be access. It has to be, I'm not smart enough to say all the other things. I don't work for NASA, and I haven't been to the moon. So
you want to qualify, brother?
Well,
I don't know what to qualify. I don't rate Cheerwine as a 10. It's good.
So I can't.
I don't rate Cheerwine.
I can't speak for every Black Caribbean person or every Black person outside of the United States, but I do think the conversation about reparations has been a Black American discussion. How that happens has been more so of a discussion within Black Americans. And I think that I don't think there's anyone, again, I can't speak for everyone, but I don't think there's anyone, a Black Jamaican, like, yeah, I want a reparations check in America. Like, no one's thinking in that manner or fashion or that way. I do understand the emergence of ADOS. I do understand the animosity. I don't want to dismiss it, because I feel like when you dismiss people's emotions and feelings,
even that's splintered. Some people that went to FBAs now. You either ADOS or you a foundational Black. That's the FBA stuff. Like, people are like, a lot of it is just like you're saying. People aren't organized. They got
white people been running the same playbook. They've been running the same playbook. This is why history is so important. Because if you know the history of how, like John Henry Clark always says, never discuss a situation till you understand how it came to be. And when you understand how it came to be, you see they keep running the same shit. That's why I'm talking about this distractionary piece. It's not like this isn't the first time, right? Like, all of the movements have always been filled with misinformation.
Well, speaking
and
of
distraction.
I don't think that it's
necessary. Can you speak to the history of where your family's from, like how they use that to hurt Black people?
Well, let me say something to Mr. Freddie Taylor's point, because I don't necessarily think this is only coming from white people, because I think there has been some tension between American Blacks and Blacks coming in from different countries. I think there is something there, because what happens is, especially for Blacks immigrants essentially coming into the country and who are able to do well in this country, I think it's difficult for Black Americans to understand that, right? If you have a Black American who's in this country with family in generations, and they've basically stayed at the same place and haven't progressed, versus you have a Black immigrant coming in and they become a doctor per se, it's sort of like, well, how is that possible? How are they able to come in and just do that versus I can't type of thing? So I don't want to dismiss like that. That's why I say I don't necessarily agree with everything that is behind ADOS and what have you, but I do understand the tension or misunderstanding between different Black groups, because it is true that Black immigrants tend to do better in this country, but we still have systematic racism. Why is that the case, right?
So to answer part of that question is, so when you come in as an immigrant, Black, white, whatever, you don't come in with an actual debt to the country. So
Right.
when you come in, so like I've said every episode almost, basically, as Native Black Americans to this landmass are worth 50% of us are worth $0 or less. A lot of that is the fact that we have generational debt. Part of that is from when we were freed as slaves on this landmass. Up until the point Lincoln was assassinated, we actually had reparations. When he was assassinated, the president who took over power afterwards took reparations back from African Americans, gave it to anybody who was a slave owner. By that I mean any white person who was a slave owner, because there were non-whites who were slave owners, and gave them between $300 and $800 per slave, which was a huge transition of wealth, which put Black people into a position where they had to figure out what they're going to do. Another thing that happened was there were federal Black laws that were on the books that denied Black people from being able to set up an economy or work within the economy by legal means. For example, if I had a 50-acre lot of land and I grew corn or whatever, whatever cash crop was at that time, I could not sell it to then a white market, or if I did sell to a white market, it would have to be at a discounted price. So we're talking about having wealth stripped from you after you've been freed, then the inability to be added to the economy, which every other immigrant class afterwards has been made. Now, I'll get into that part in a second. So now we're talking about you're building generational debt. Just like generational wealth can grow, debt can grow as well. So when you hear stories about people's grandparents in the South, like being sharecroppers, you're actually talking about indentured servitude or peonism, which was legal in the United States until the 1960s. By about 1965 was when it finally ended, I think, as late as in Mississippi. So by peonism, I mean, as opposed to a white person or a white family legally owning you and your family, under the rules of the Black laws or peonism, they can own they could cause a version of amateurism or what's the thing when you take a serfdom to any Black person at any given time, regardless of age. So if a 10-year-old white boy is like, I need you to put a roof up on my mama's house, to a Black person, they'd have to do it, or they could be under federal mandate to be punished. And that lasted for a long time. Like Grandpa said before, when he worked in Hamtramck, there was a Black person who escaped from peonism in Mississippi in the 50s. Like they were still escaping slavery to the north all the way back then. So when you have that debt accrued, and then you finally are able to legally own stuff without other impediments by the federal government in the 60s, you're talking about, so people got emancipated in the late 1800s. That's several decades of on the books debt that Black people have accrued versus someone who came in as an immigrant, regardless of color, gender, or whatever. If they had 45 cents in their pocket, they were fundamentally worth more than half of Black America. So when you know this as someone who owns houses and things like that, debt like that is crippling, and it takes a long time to get out of that. Now I'll say this, I was fortunate in our family, I didn't have any debt, but there are many people who aren't like me who've had debt that goes back to their great grandparents, that when your family members dies, the bank, or whoever owns the debt will find next of kin, and they have the legal right to then add that debt onto you. So, you could be 10 years old and you could have lost your whole family and you could be an orphan, but they'll find you and that debt will go to you once you become an adult and you have to pay that off. So the reasoning is the federal government. Now, I don't know a whole bunch about what immigrants get, but when you come over here, you get a few tax things that you can defer once you come over here, depending on what your visa status is.
Well, no, you still have to pay income if you make money. Depending on your visa, if you have like a work visa, you still have to pay income tax. No one can get around that. IRS.
Right. But I mean, like, there's things that like we as Black Americans don't get just for being Black or being an immigrant. Like, there are certain immigrants who come over here and who actually get subsidized housing for free, or they get like a stipend or something to help them out, which you can't even get on as a Black person unless you have a kid or some other thing that allows you to get into the system. But once you're in the system now, so this is another thing about Section 8. So Section 8, up to a while, and depending on what state you're in, still isn't an act, still is in effect. If you're a person who's using it, say you're a woman who has a child, you can't then have a man in the house and then have Section 8 for that price, because you have a means to pay full price, which means you can't have this. But because of the way the economy's set up, you're put in a situation where a woman has to choose between her man and housing. So
they just don't tell them. They get married, they just don't say anything, or they get married in another state so that there's no state documentation of the marriage. But yeah, that's why you had a joke, was that K-Dot in one of his songs, "Don't you tell them that your daddy live here," and it's unfortunate that has to be that way. But yeah.
So there's all these things that are historically in the books that affected the Black community for generations. And before, like back when we had Black Wall Street and things like that, which is just one of the numerous things that got annihilated by the federal government. And this is also on the books, that when we were left alone to rebuild our own economy, we did well. But when they decided to try to integrate, that changed everything. And what I'm saying is, when you brought up earlier about people of color, that thing has been more of a hindrance than anything to the Black community.
So quick question, when we say people of color, we talk about Black folks, Mexicans, like what are we talking about?
Let me finish this statement. Let me finish this statement for like why that legally is that way. Because when we're talking about what Sade was saying, there hasn't been any in the first 100 days for the Black community. There's things for people of color. There's things for minorities. There's things for the LGBTQ plus community. But when you're talking about lobbying, you want to lobby for your people. So you want things specifically that says whatever term you want to say for a Black person is that we all agree upon, that goes to our community to help build. Or else it'll seep through it'll be like a big number, like $1 billion for minorities. How much of that actually goes to people who look like you, me, and everyone else here? Like, and when you break that down, it's just another way, because we all know that white women also count as a minority or some tone pole,
which is full foolishness.
Yeah. So like, how is it that when we're talking about the dollar breakdown, white women making 70 something cents on the dollar, Black women making 60 something cents, and depending on where you're getting the information from, if you include penitentiary data, Black men making 50 something cents, that a white woman is allowed to be a minority when she like everyone else marries someone of their race. So if you marry a white man who is the dollar and your 70 something cents goes to the dollar, you're worth $1.70, where when we combine as Black people are worth $1, damn near $1.10. So regardless of what you're talking about, we're people are arguing all these things, but as long as we're using these terms that allow other groups to weasel in and get our benefits, we're not going to get any further, because we're allowing them to backdoor and take the situation.
And the only
I know you want to say some stuff. So
it's people of color is some trash ass classification.
Right. That's what I'm like, what's this people of color stuff? I'm talking about Black folks.
Why I use the term people of color is because it becomes a little bit confusing in terms of what term we're supposed to use. Because I could be African American, but that doesn't include myself off the gate.
Oh, okay.
I could say Black, but then people have different definitions of what Black is or what that means, whether it's Black Americans or Blacks outside of America. Like, it's a lot. So, I mean, it's really just what definition are we working with? And I could tell you what term I guess what I would use there. But
Oh no, I completely understand, but I think you see what the point what I was getting at, Sade, and perhaps we were all getting at, is the fact that there needs to be a unified understanding of what we're all trying to accomplish.
But
and,
we're not all trying to accomplish the same thing. That's also part of the problem.
right, but like there should be basic tenet things, like we're trying to get economic control, right? We're trying to be able to push ourselves further economically, because if you don't have lifeblood, what are you going to do? But let's get to that. Uncle Pooh, get this. I see you ready. Come on, say what you're about to say.
Pops, you fired up? Go ahead.
Now let me say something.
Okay.
Get in there.
I have the floor here.
Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Around, but we have not introduced the gun in this whole situation. I remember India, what they got about 1.2 billion people. And they didn't get their independence from England. They were colonized until 1947. So the gun has been the main object of the whole thing here. China, and man had the gun in China. They had the gunboat diplomacy. They went up down. England took all of your natural resources, and France took your resources, and they turned them into finished goods, and they got rich. But they got the resources for free, just about all over the country. They just went around into the southern islands, and they got the coffee and everything. They got everything, and then they come back and they sell it to you on open market. But you could not. If you were in India, you could not sell make no resources. You couldn't make no clothing, no nothing. You had to take that stuff and send it to England, let them make it and bring it back to you and sell it to you at a price. So the whole thing I'm saying though is that the gun is the key. If he who has the gun rules, that's the only thing I can see. And right now, only reason that China is so powerful right today is because China has the gun now. They got more guns and planes than the United States. They may not be as big as they are, but they got more of them. They got 1.3 billion people, and they steady moving. But they're taking the resources and they're sharing. Like to me, people say Africa's being exploited, but I say Africa ain't being exploited. Africa needs an infrastructure, and they don't have that. And they're building the infrastructure, but how do you build it? You bargain. The Chinese come in and build the infrastructure, and they make a profit, and Africa growing big every day. So it always gets you back to the one thing about he who has the gun rules.
Well,
you mentioned
like China is doing us a kindness. Like there's no kindness in that. Like what
we're not talking about kindness. We're talking about being exploited. If you're getting something for something, the United States went into Africa and they took stuff out they never gotten for exploitation. They took all the resources. China at least building the infrastructure. They building the railroad. They making money. They're supposed to make money. But they're building an infrastructure. And once you get the infrastructure built, you can build your schools, you can have your teachers, you can send them all over the world, and they can be a part of this whole universe. Right now, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know. I agree and whatever. I still don't like the Chinese in there. I think African Americans need to be in there.
Okay.
But hold on.
Chinese weren't in there.
Let go Pooh Bear finish. Let go Pooh Bear finish.
No, I mean you're right. You're right. And like I don't know. I'm versed in all of this, right? So that's cool. But my point is, with China, you were like they got the bigger gun. No, they got the bomb. Once you get the bomb, ain't nobody running up in your country no more.
That's right.
So the gun is the bomb. So like if I'm an African nation, I'm developing the bomb because I know once I get this bomb, that's it. Ain't no more threat of nobody coming to take our resources like y'all been doing, and everybody gonna play fair because I got the bomb. I think that we need to get into that. I agree. I think African Americans need to be investing in Africa. I think African Americans need to be in. I think Africans in the diaspora need to be investing with Africans in the diaspora. Really, that's really where I'm core at. I think reparations will be fantastic. I think if you hold your breath and you wait on that, I think you're gonna die in expectation. I think that we need to make our own reparations by working together globally. It's a slow crawl. Pops talks about incremental progress. I think that's the incremental progress worth putting your time and effort in, because waiting on Kamala, Barry, or any of these other people involved in the political system who are compromised to do something for you. To move the needle is really ridiculous.
Yeah, but
like they're gonna do their part, hopefully.
But
Hopefully they do their part, but we got to do our part because we got to do it for ourselves.
That gets back to that incremental part I was talking about. I'm not expecting the world to change because Kamala is vice president. I listened to the Secretary of Transportation or the.
Well, if Barry was president and it didn't change, you got to know this ain't.
I heard Buttigieg say something last night I've never heard before. So you got forces going against what you're trying to do all the time. I remember the 82nd Airborne dropping into Dominican Republic and over there in the islands and things because they're talking about something that people could care less about. All they want to do is have a decent living. They don't know how to know socialism. If they wanted to go to socialism, go to the Netherlands.
Cuba.
Huh? Well, Cuba deals with China, which is a socialist country. Cuba deals with China. They deal with the Netherlands.
Get some more cheer wine, Sade.
Because those are socialist countries.
You're muted, Sade.
They said Venezuela, which is trying to become socialist somewhat, they owe their existence to Haiti. If it don't, this is what Randall Robinson thought. If it don't be for Haiti, there wouldn't be no Venezuela, for independence.
You know what? Speaking of that, I want to actually ask Sade something. I want to, before Graham, I guess I want to ask Sade something like that. So, since you've been in America and you've been building yourself and your business and your monies and all that, do you send money back to Trinidad? Like, is that something that, like, because I've heard stories of like Black people and Africans and whatever they send money back to their homeland to help build the infrastructure. Is that something that you practice?
Yeah, and well, so not necessarily in that sense because luckily, my grandfather's house, he had bought the land and then he had built the house on there, so he didn't have like a mortgage or anything. So there's not like any like real bills there, and he has a pension and everything coming back. But my mom did do some renovation to my grandfather's house to have it so that we can keep it in the family type of thing for myself and my cousins.
That's a blessing.
Yeah. So we're trying to hold on to that house as much as possible and pass it down to the next generations. But yeah, I do help out where I can for my grandparents.
No, that's fantastic, and I love to hear that type of stuff. So, but like, to the point of, was that taught to you to do? Was that something that it was ground into you, or did you do that yourself because you wanted to?
I think it was more so something that I wanted to do myself. Partially because, and I think actually the root of it comes from, me trying to trace back my roots, my family tree, and I can't go past my great-grandparents because there's just no information whatsoever. So it's sort of like me trying to make sure for like the next generations, we have something that we can say that my grandfather actually built and done, and we can pass that along and have that historical roots, because we don't really have too much of that. But I do know, like, for certain cultures, for certain families, like that, giving money back to the family is a very important type of thing. So, yeah.
So, in terms of that, do you feel that, like, because it's kind of a new thing, and like, let's just say new thing in my world, where in the Black community, we're in America, it's one of those things where I'm just starting to see people who grew up in the same situation like me kind of waking up, and like Grandpa always says, getting into position to do stuff like that, because that's really how you get out of a hole. Like Uncle Pooper is saying, we got to help ourselves and really push forward. If we get reparations, is great, but like, there's things we can do now to kind of build. Do you feel that is also something that has helped your family? Like you're saying, like, why is it different for like a Black immigrant versus someone who's been here? Like, do you think that's been a big help? And that is that, before you answer that, does that change how you see? And I know, and please forgive me for this.
Mhm.
how you view the dating world. Like, do you see American Black men differently than how? No, I'm not even joking. Like, do you see that like when you're out here, like, is that a different mindset that American Black men have from someone who's came here from somewhere else as a Black person?
Okay. Okay, so first I'll say that to your first question, I definitely think it has helped. It's definitely generational wealth coming to play in part because my grandfather had his house in Trinidad. So when my mom was ready to retire, she could just go to Trinidad, which is what she did. She went to Trinidad. She doesn't have any bills to worry about or anything. A lot of people don't have that as an option, right? So that's that general.
Is that just in Trinidad or are you talking about America?
Well, even if so, let's say my grandfather's house was in America, and my mom wanted to retire, that's still a house that she would have that's paid for, versus her having to still have to work to pay for bills for a mortgage and things of that nature. So that's just an example of generational wealth coming to play. So it's definitely something that is very helpful for people to know that if push comes to shove, if I'm struggling or whatever, it's not like I'm going to be homeless. There's some place for me to go. And for a lot of people, that's not necessarily the case. So I would say, yes, it's definitely generational wealth is something that I think I learned honestly from my grandfather, and understanding that situation with his house, and then making sure that for me and the next generations, that I'll have something to pass along to them so that they're not starting from ground zero. So that answers that question. And then to your second question, as it relates to dating, yeah, I have noticed a difference, but I'm not dismissed. But the thing is, there's pros and cons to men of different cultures in general, right? So even if, for instance, I date an African guy, Nigerian or something like that, there might be a lot of pros to him understanding that generational wealth thing, but he might be more controlling than I necessarily would want in a relationship, and have
I know what that means.
more traditional gender roles than I would want for myself.
You mean like Western gender roles or African gender roles?
What'd you say?
Do you mean Western gender roles, like Western, like an American, European, or do you mean like Eastern gender roles?
When do gender roles different?
Well, in America, it's every culture has different gender roles for men and women.
Lies. Gender roles are gender roles across the board. Gender roles are the man or the lies. You can't find. You tell me what ethnicity, what tradition, whatever that says that the woman is the head of the household, that the woman makes the decisions. You don't get that. The gender roles means that the man, let's be clear, we all know what that means, what she means when she says that the man makes the decisions, the wife is the rib, whether you're a doggone Christian or not. You follow what I say, you clean the house, I make the money, I bring the money home, because there's no culture that says that the woman is supposed to make the money and the man is supposed to take care of the home. So we know what gender roles are.
I'm sorry, Sade. I didn't see my auntie pull out her belt.
I got you, Sade.
I didn't ask.
We're not gonna play that we're not gonna play that foolishness. What gender roles? You know what gender roles we talking about.
None of my light skinned wizardry will work here.
No, I'm light skinned too. You don't blind me.
Patriotic society. Would you agree with that?
Yes,
what?
Sir. It is very patriarchal.
It's shifting now. This is going to be a metrical society. This is where we're heading. Why do you think we're getting the progress? I keep saying the Black woman is our liberation. We got to change that gender role and put them up. And
Pops, this is the issue. Nobody questions the power and the magnitude of the Black woman. I just did an interview yesterday.
Great Christmas Day right now.
Go for it, nephew. So, nephew, Auntie Millie called me yesterday and she interviewed me for a book and we talked about that. And I was telling her,
my cousin, not auntie.
Well, you called her Auntie Millie that day, but Millie.
I was also
okay, great. Anywho, we talked about it, and I was just saying I wish that more Black women understood their power, because absolutely nothing goes without us. We make everything better. And that's the truth. And my boys laugh and call me a feminist, whatever. I just understand our power. I understand our
tell you
power,
what,
but at the end of the day, we are still going to be the minority under everybody else. No matter what our power is, when it comes to any type of infrastructure, we're still, the boys call me racist and a feminist, whatever, Fred, I know. Anywho, but I understand that as a Black woman, I understand my power of taking nothing and making it magnificent.
All right. You're a
That's
liberator. That's what I call you.
Yeah, come on, Pops, you better tell them. Y'all better
said
listen to
over and
91.
over again that our liberation relies within y'all. We get away from this patriotic thing and the patriotic, and let the matrix take over. And we're gonna move. It's gonna be incremental though. You know what?
Pops, stop talking about incremental. Right. And stop saying everything's incremental.
See, this is what Grandpa's doing, Uncle Pooh Bear. He's saying he's like, woman gonna take over after I'm dead. He's like, when I'm
the rest of y'all ain't straight, they gotta clean up.
Oh my God.
Elected to understand, and that is this. And I was so proud to hear Pete what's his name? Buttigieg. Buttigieg. That his name?
Buttigieg?
The Secretary of Transportation. He spoke the truth last night when he talked about the vision of minority communities. He spoke on a certain one, and he was saying about you build a highway down through the minority community, and you separate it. So there's no more power there because it's all separated. And I seen this happen. See, I saw what happened back in the days when they put in the interstate highways. I saw a whole Black community just about destroyed, where they had to go somewhere else to get something to eat because the highway came down there and took them out of business. So at least I like this man as transportation because at least he know that we have enemies out there. There was no accident that they drove the interstate highway through the Black community. If you take the highway and you go down through the Quinn and take it on down to Hastings, all the way down to Black Bottom and everything, what do you see? You see a freeway. What it used to be. It used to be our community. And this is what they have done over the years. So we got some folks, man, and we try to build here and they try to destroy it. It's at the same time because they know there's power in unity. And when you get a community and you get it united, you got power. And if you don't have that, what you got everybody talking about what we should do.
No, you know what? That's a great point, Grandpa. I want Sade to finish what she was saying though.
Okay, go ahead.
What was I saying? Yeah. So, okay, now I remember. Yeah. So if I date like an African guy, he would probably want more traditional gender roles than I would want in a relationship because, for me, I want a partner and I want to still work and things of that nature that within my passion. So I don't know, like I don't dismiss dating any Black person, whether they're African American or Black person from another country. Like I try to go based more on that character of that person and then whether or not our goals are aligned, right? There are cultural influences, but I don't know. Like I don't think that I do think that there is an issue of understanding generational wealth within the Black community, but I don't think that there aren't people who are aware of that, who aren't striving for that, and that's part of their goals too. Does that answer your question, Sean?
Oh, that answers my question. So I guess this next part really goes into it. So Black men have the distinct, not honor, of being the only race of men on earth in America, especially, well, only in America actually, where we actually make less than our women. How do you deal with that? Like when you're in the dating pool, like we're talking about, even if you go beyond the traditional roles, like I'm just going to be honest with you, like it's a waning thing because I can't imagine that for hundreds, not thousands of years, it was taught to women that a man should take care of you. But when you got to turn around and understand that in this country, Black women have been put in the position that they actually make more than their man. Like, how does it make you see the opposite gender?
I don't have a problem with it, to be honest with you. Because again, like I look at it as I'm looking for a partner. And even if they make less money than me, we are still, if we're in a partnership, we're combining our monies and then we're deciding together how we're spending that money, what we're investing in and stuff like that. So I don't have a problem with it, but.
So I guess I'm getting to the real point is just like how traditionally women are supposed to be like the nurturer, right? Like how do you navigate a man who's been taught to be this quote unquote provider, but be in this position where he can't be? Like, is that something that you're like, I don't want to deal with it? Or is it one of those situations where, like you say, we're a partner, but like psychologically, there's a burden for there as well? Because this is something that no other race of man has had to deal with to this point in, honestly, world history. Because in any other time, if you even if you were enslaved, only American slavery has been this way. Every other slavery has been more indentured servitude, where you can actually get free or own land or work your way out of it. But we're in a situation where, like I said before, the numbers, Black women make 62 or 63 cents to the dollar, where when you include the 10 to 20% of people who are affected by the prison industrial complex, which are Black men, and our pool, it drags us down to like 52 or 53% on the dollar. So like on average, the Black man has less opportunities and less money. So like even if he had more money than you, that's a rarity. Like, so to give that number too, 5% of men of all races in America make over $100,000 of all men. So now that you know that the dating pool is even lower for like quote unquote successful or highly appraised people, like knowing that on average you can be more successful and that you have the opportunity to make more, does that factor into like how you see a potential mate if he is Black? Like, you may not even want a Black man. I'm not gonna put that on you if you don't want it. But like, how you see Black men as a culture now? Because like traditionally, we can't even by the numbers fill that role on average.
So here's the thing, right? And this is because I think we have to change our mindset a little bit in terms of the traditional getting a job, working, getting paid by the man, and that being our end all be all in terms of the money that we have coming into our household. I'm a huge proponent of investing as much as possible, right? So it's not necessarily about the job that he has, but it's more so about his willingness to invest what little that he has in order to make more, because that is what's going to help build generational wealth, not just having a job. So no, it does not bother me. And maybe it's because I know on my end, I've pretty much set up the situation how I would need it to be for me to live comfortably. Anybody coming into my life, they might not necessarily have the same setup, but if they're open and willing to accept me helping them, set up whatever they need to on their end, then I don't have a problem with that. And again, to me, what's more important is the investing aspect, right? Because we're not going to be working our jobs probably for the rest. We're going to change jobs, and that's always going to change. But the investing part is super important. I think what is a part of play and what you're speaking of is directly dealing with the man and his ego and his own insecurities, right? Because if he's in a relationship with a woman that's making more money than him and she's telling him it's not a problem, but he still has an issue, that's an issue that he has that he needs to figure out and resolve within himself, because then the only person who has a problem is him. And it's in relation to how he feels he should be looked at as quote unquote a man, right? But is that really the definition of a man? Not that you're making more money than a woman. No.
Oh, you better come on with it, Sade.
Before you and everybody else respond, I just want to say to the people looking at this, Sade is not a sugar mama. She's not trying to take care of your ass. She's smart. So please handle yourselves accordingly. We got people who are probably gonna reach out to me. But
mind your business. She might want to be a sugar mama. You
right.
I'm
sorry. If Sade wants to be a sugar mama,
stay in your lane.
Don't be out here judging.
Please bother her. Please upset her time. You know what? She might want you to waste her time for a few months. But I'm just saying, she's not She's my dear friend. I want Sade to have a good life. But if she wants to, you know what? She might got money like that. If she want to trick it off with some of you niggas, please do. But
Pops, you hear your grandbaby.
Let her live.
There's a generational gap here, and we're talking
You're
about
right back.
money, and the black man making less than the black woman. The first time you have a downturn in the economy, the black man seems to lose his job or somehow or another. There was a time when there was no unemployment compensation, no nothing. And I recall vividly, my father at one time used to work for Ford Motor Company, and during the Depression, he might work 4 months out the year, right? But the black woman, my mother used to work for 75 cents a day in car fare to get back and forth to work. And my father didn't have no job, not because he didn't want to work, because there wasn't no work for him. So I've seen the other end of that depression where the black woman was a liberator back then, and she's a liberator now, because they hard on us, Are you feeling me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, I'm saying, the first thing happens is the black man loses his position to be able to support his woman, but the woman steps up and supports him.
Mhm.
They're making 75 cents a day back in the 30s. that wasn't a lot of money, because milk was what, 8 cents, 10 cents a bottle, bread 10 cents a loaf. So 75 cents a day keep you alive. It didn't do no more than that, but it kept you alive. But if you didn't have that money from the past, where you had some inherited money come down like property and things like other folks had through generations or hundreds of years, when the bad times hit you, you didn't have nothing. You didn't have a dime in the bank, no money, no nothing. So you had the mercy of society. And basically always was with the black people, we was always the ones at the bottom of the totem pole. And right now we still feeling some of that effects of being at the bottom. That's why I say the black woman is my liberation. I'm looking for y'all to come through.
Come on, Pops.
Well, she always has come through. And she always has come through. Like this whole.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, just like.
I asked Sade to be on the show last minute, and she popped up. So, she done liberated this episode.
Excuse me? So the heck with everybody else who here, nephew?
To you a cast member now.
But just like ever since we've been here, or ever since we've been dealing with this foot on our neck, let's just say that, it's been a regular routine to castrate the male and only deal with the woman.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that they've done deliberately. Like it ain't even like they hide.
So who is castrating the male and who's dealing with the woman?
Well, I'm talking about during times when your ancestors were in chains, when they were enslaved,
mm-hmm.
There was a regular system of not dealing with the male, castrating the male as in he has no say in what is happening. And
so dealing with the woman in what way?
Christmas Ale is a 6.5, by the way.
Okay, good job.
I'm down to a 4 on this. This is absolutely trash. Swill water. We all the way down to swill water.
I still give it a 5. I took it down. But when you say negotiating with the woman, you mean to tell me that the white man was
maybe I shouldn't say negotiate. Maybe I should say use as the intermediary to pass along what is about to transpire. Like when you read American chattel slavery, it shows that anytime a male exerted any type of leadership or, care or empathy about the group, he was beaten, he was killed, he was whatever.
Sure.
And only the woman was dealt with. Like that's who is always communicated.
So that's the thing. They thought they was communicating and controlling shit. They weren't. That's the thing. It's not like they looked at us as if they were smoothing stuff over and like we were the ones that were impressionable but didn't understand. They didn't understand our damn strength either. So it's not like there was a certain level. I don't think there was a certain level of respect though over for the black
No,
woman or the black man?
I'm not saying that it was a level of respect. It wasn't
Okay.
at all. It was a castration of the male species of black people, so that when all the other males are watching, that's why they would drag them out to the middle to beat them, to rape them,
Absolutely.
to do
Yeah.
whatever they wanted to in front of them, to show the rest of you niggas, you better stay in place or else you're next. And after centuries of this, there's a repercussion or a fallout of that, right?
So do you
And
think
this
that they use the black woman to help keep the black man in line, like almost like
absolutely,
tell him that it could all go
all.
away if he just listens? You know what I'm saying? If he
Well,
don't
I don't know. I wouldn't go all the way there. I'm
Okay.
just talking specifically to the facts. Like, but my point is, black women have always been there to step in and do whatever is necessary. Of course, she was being abused as well. She was being raped. She was being humiliated. She was having her children snatched from her womb and sold into other places. There's unimaginable things that can be going on to both the male and the female black person, right?
Sure.
And this isn't an argument over who had it worse. This
Right.
is an appreciation of the black woman for stepping into an impossible role and dragging our asses here, right? Like literally, although as Dan says, she's been the savior, she's always gonna be, right? Even during the periods of never getting no appreciation from the male in the community, which still drags on today, right? But I think it's a lot of infighting that's unnecessary.
Absolutely.
And like I say, the people that are the ready, willing, and able, we already know. So I don't even be wanting to spend time feeding energy into that shit, right?
Yeah.
Like we got work to do. The black men that's worth a damn know the black woman is invaluable. Like these are just, why are we even having these discussions? Like I gotta spend time in spaces defending the black woman. She's indefensible. She don't need to be defended. It's your ass been dragging along. It's your ass been doing these other things. It's your ass that's an abandoned community. And I hate this discussion. Now I'm on a rant, right? It ain't Cuba. Like it ain't Cuba, but
we didn't get.
Okay, Pops, do you have any more?
Yeah, hold on. I hate this discussion about black men got drug into the prison system. They ain't have they wasn't in the house because they was in jail because they ain't had. Nah, you always got a choice. I ain't fucking going. Like, okay, there are some black men that were set.
I got to stop you because the FBI and the CIA have documents that say this was the plan.
Yeah.
When you have a military power that says we are here to annihilate you, there ain't no game against that. So please, whatever you're about to do is about to be detrimental. Please understand that these things were made for that purpose.
I feel you. I grew up in the 80s crack epidemic. I didn't sell drugs. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that I am one
part of the brick. Okay, I understand that. But cocaine still cuts the same. Shit is still happening. I mean, it's a reason why stuff is the way it is. Now, if it was happenstance that people made generations of bad decisions, then I agree with you. But if it's happenstance also that people who don't look like me were allowed to make the same decisions and then become president, then that's a different situation.
Yeah,
if we were all able to fail up the same, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But you can't.
I like that phrase too. Fail.
Come on, nephew. But
you can't. You can't. What you just did was obvious white supremacist racism. You need some more to drink. You're starting to get a little too there. Because there's no reason that we can't have Reagan, Nixon, and look, now Joe Biden. 3 sitting presidents say they had an active hand in crushing the black community. On record. And then aside of them, we have 2 different agencies say they have direct confirmation of either assassinating or leading to the death of black leaders.
Yeah.
And the FBI and the CIA. So when you say that disrespects every person who's got killed and every person affected by that. Like, how many of your homeboys who you don't know who've been affected by the system? Like what's it called? The United Nations actually label it anytime more than like 1.5% of any general population is inside of prison is a genocidal effort. So when 10% of black people or black men by that standard are in prison at a time and another 10% are affected by the parole system, that's an actual attack. There's no way that you can police that many people unless you're trying to.
Yeah.
And then we got also after the fact that when you go like was it 20, 30, 40 episodes ago when we had a lawyer on here who explained how that happened. So a friend of mine from Evans Scholar, Beckett Jones, was talking about how in the prison system, if you don't have a lawyer and they give you just any lawyer for free, they're pushing you for a deal, which means they're pushing you for prison time, which affects the local government because you're paying taxes for these people.
Yeah, the settlement, the plea deal.
So knowing all these things, you know the system is made for these prisons to make money off you because it's still in the Constitution. No slavery is legal unless it's prison slavery. So if you know that 10% of your brothers are in prison and another 10% are confined by probation, which if you can't afford to pay it because they won't hire you for a job or you can't find money to go back to prison, you already know everything you were about to say was just fallacy. And it hurts me because as a light-skinned person in America and you as a light-skinned person in Africa, to say such things, it's hurtful.
No, because I still stick by what I'm saying. I feel like
Trump right now, Pooh Bear.
No, I'm not. That's probably the problem. But I'm not, because I'm really talking about how black people talk to black people behind the stage. Don't nobody ever know me to let white people off the hook. I ain't letting them off the hook for shit. And I'm bringing up stuff you're not even aware of because I ain't letting them off the hook, right? But if we talking amongst ourselves, listen, we still got to take personal responsibility. The only way and this is what drives me crazy about Republicans and Democrats, because black people are the ultimate community about personal responsibility. This is what we are based on. This is what your grandparents have taught you, your parents have taught you growing up. It's personal responsibility. We got to take responsibility for ourselves. So I say that. I'll admit I probably shouldn't have said it, right? But still at the same time, we got to make better decisions moving forward, right? Like we still got to take responsibility for where we find ourselves, despite do we deserve reparations? Yes. Do we deserve, people pouring back into our community after all of these votes to the Democrats and all of that? Yes. Are we getting that? It doesn't appear that way. So now what the fuck are you gonna do? Like, we got to do something for us to pull ourselves out of this situation, because just being right ain't enough in America. In fact, just being right ain't shit in America.
That goes back to
So, and I think that there is a way for us to pull ourselves out of the situation, but the responsibility isn't going to fall on someone who's in poverty, who hasn't left their community, who isn't aware of what they're doing is detrimental to their life. That is just not feasible.
Yeah, we got to go get them.
Right. But I just want to say that we didn't create the rules. The rules are not made for us to benefit or do better. The rules are made to keep us in line in place and to do worse, right? The whole war on drugs was to put Black people into jails.
Confirmed.
So,
and it was successful.
Even if we quote unquote do better, the rules will change to continuously put us in jail, right? We need more people that of ourselves in positions of power in order to make sure that the rules that we put in place are fair and that we're given a fighting chance, but we're not given a fighting chance on purpose. So I have to agree with Sean on this. Like, when it comes to our jail system, which is modern day slavery, I can't sit up here and say we as Black people need to do better to stay out of jail. No, it's literally set up so that we go to jail. Like the prison to pipeline, am I saying that right?
Preschool to prison pipeline.
Yeah, preschool to prison pipeline is a real thing.
Mm-hmm. It is. Go ahead, boss.
We once had a matriarchal society, and I want to know, When did it change? Did it change with the transatlantic slave trade or what? I keep thinking about, you know where I'm going with this. W.B. Du Bois got a picture all over his office, right? There was any men on the wall?
Well, him. Him.
There were some?
It was
Just
him.
Oh, okay. But I mean, the wall loaded women. So I'm thinking now, at one time, we were doing good with this macho society, and the men somehow got in the way and took over. Because otherwise, he left us a message with all them women who ran armies and tribes and did fighting. He left us a message, but we didn't get the message. The message is turn it back over to the women.
You know what, Pops? I really think is part of the issue, and I'm gonna say it. I think part of the problem is Christianity.
Oh, definitely so.
Because there was a certain reverence for the woman before, but Christianity is highly patriarchal. And I think that
Western Christianity, or do you mean what they
Christianity is Christianity, boy. Stop asking us East and Western.
No, I'm asking, like, Ethiopia is completely different.
Christianity is Christianity.
It's completely different in Ethiopia.
Tell me the difference then, baby, because I'm not hip.
So
Ethiopians are the Jews.
It's the father, son.
Let's establish Christianity.
Hold on, Grandpa.
Let me say this though. In 300 BC, Constantine came along.
I read the book too.
Beginning of Christianity. Now let's go from there.
All right. So based on Christianity that was in Ethiopia, so Christianity in Western Christianity was a Father, the Son, and Holy Ghost. In Ethiopia, where it was centralized, it was the Father, the Mother, and the Son. So in Africa,
the father's still at the head, though, right?
I was just saying the names. They never took away the mother's right. As a matter of fact, it was more of a time-based thing. So just like how the seasons change, the ruler changed based on that. It would be the time for the father to reign, this time for the mother to reign, and the child for the son to reign. And then it was based on that. When Europe came into Africa and tried to change Christianity, when they took all the names out and changed it to more European names, that's when the whole system changed.
Well, let's back it up. Let's just say religion, because even the Muslims are the same way.
The Europeans,
we have.
Wait a minute, let me say this. The
Yes, sir.
Created Christianity. The Ecumenical Council came up with the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. This was all European. Now we go from there. They didn't come. They created this, and this. And is that's what, at one time they acknowledged over in Europe that the Madonna, the Black Madonna, all over Europe. It wasn't until after that when
they just in Europe. Like, there's statues of the Black Madonna in Japan that are like 5
all over the world. It was the Europeans about the 15th century began to come up with a different person who was Christ. We always know that Jesus was black.
It was even Jesus. Like that's a Roman name. Like white people. White people didn't even believe. Hold on, Grandpa. White people didn't even believe in Jesus until like 6,000 years ago. That's why they keep pushing that. Bible thumping Europeans really pushed 6,000 years old.
Wait a minute, Jesus
nothing before that was really involved with them.
Jesus wasn't born 2,000 years ago. He was 2,000. Where did he get to 6,000 years? Didn't nobody know anything about Jesus.
What I'm saying is, there's a sect of Christianity in America that believes the earth is only 6,000 years old. And if you break down the etymology of mankind, lighter skinned people who are lighter than me, didn't even start showing up until 10,000 years ago. So if you look past that, you're talking about these people not even existing. So it's not the fact that humanity isn't that old. It's the fact that whiteness.
You and Crystal not that old.
It didn't whiteness and what whiteness is in modern day didn't show up in our genotype, our phenotype, to be the technical word, until about 10,000 years ago. And in terms of what it was visibly being able to see, this is what scientists said.
Let's go back 6,000 years to Nora. You said 10,000.
Like the actual human genome, like they've come out and said that civilizations, the oldest civilization that they found today is 250,000 years old, and it was black. So you mean to tell me that they're grandma on the phone? So my point is this: it's not that you believe in a higher power or whatever system you believe in. It's the fact that once white people got into it, they wanted to push the narrative that the Earth is only this many years old because they know before that it wasn't people who looked like them walking around.
But the thing is, nephew, what I was saying was when I was retracting, well, adding to or whatever, it's not even about Christianity. It's about religion in general because Muslims are the same, if not worse. Like I know Muslim mothers who cannot chastise, discipline, or anything their sons, period, because they are male. And that's what I'm saying. So that's when we talk about this whole patriarchal versus matriarchal, religion is the damn culprit. It's the damn culprit. That and whether it came from Europeans or anyone else. Other than that, when we look at the earth, it is called Mother Earth, Mother Nature, Mother Africa. All of this stems from the doggone woman. None of that was so-called stripped from us or attempted to be stripped from us until religion came into play. Period. No matter what the religion is, religion has always pushed women to the back and does not hold us at the helm that we should be in.
Well, so
tell me where it lies.
I would say that religion is used to
what's the difference though? What's the difference? Used to and it does do, it's the same thing.
When I feel like the patriarchal society has always been around before an establishment of religion. And the reason why I say this is like from a scientific perspective, right? In terms of where we look at or the source of gender roles, it has more to do with the physiology of a man and a woman, meaning the woman is carrying the baby, she stays in the home, right? To take care of the baby, to cook, and the man is the hunter and the gatherer, so he goes out to get food and then provides for the family. So that's kind of the source of why we have these quote unquote gender roles. And then as civilization came about and we grew within a community, that hunter and gatherer role for men and the stay-at-home, take care of the children role for women kind of crossed in with our society. And then it sort of became like, this is what we're supposed to be doing. This is how we're supposed to live our lives. Then we had and then we have religion, but then religion is used, and that's why I say religion is used to keep those same roles there.
When you think about it, like even with using your example,
because you have different religions all over the world.
Absolutely, and they all have the man at the head. They all have the man at the head.
Right.
But even if we go back to the whole hunter gatherers and all that stuff, there are women who are fierce warriors and hunters. It happens.
Right.
Even when the men leave, the women are in charge of not just their households, but of the entire cities and communities. So it's respected that the woman is still going to do what needs to be done to take care of it. It's not like they're like, oh, we're going to leave this dude back to stay in charge because the women don't know what they're doing. There was still a respect for the woman. The difference is for women, we don't give a damn about ruling. We just take care of business and keep on going. Men like to be in charge. Men like to rule. We all have different characteristics. But the push between the gender roles, like what you first said, what you brought up, that push comes from doggone religion. No matter what religion it is, the push comes from religion. Outside, when communities are just living, there is an equal respect. That's the difference. There's an equal respect. If there is a household where they say, a community where they say, okay, this is what the man is going to do. This is what the woman is going to do. This is how we blend together, whatever, There was an equal respect. But religion does not have an equal respect for both genders.
Well, I would say
Tell me a religion that does. Tell me a religion that does.
Well, I would say that religion is up to interpretation.
Lies.
Because
Lies.
and
Lies.
the only reason why I say it's up to interpretation is, historically speaking, religion has been used to justify two different sides of the coin, right? Religion has been used to justify slavery.
Yeah. Pedophilia and everything else.
So, like, depending on who's in power, who's ruling, or what have you, they'll use religion to push their own agenda or their own goal. But the reason why I say that patriarchal society is outside of religion being an external factor, is because if you have, for instance, Hinduism in India, right? And you have, let's say, the Aztecs over in South America, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are two different separate cultures and what have you. But there is this common denominator, a common factor of a man being on top of a woman as far as a role, right? But it's a very different religion practice.
Necessarily true, because in Hinduism, they believed once their three main deities got like, so they all the three main deities took wives, and there's a point where they actually merged with them and became a new being, which was like either genderless or had both genders. So in Hinduism, it was the fact that men and women were equality, and over in the Aztecs, they never had a merging of the genders. It was only religions that I know of, that I've studied, that have a understanding of two genders are that of the Native American or the indigenous people of North America and the Indian people. There's now mind you, there is a very rare case of it in Norse mythology, but that was never exalted like they do in India or in the indigenous people of North America.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is that, well, for me, and I know we're not at final thoughts. And I'm like, my bottom line is, but your nephew didn't even call for final thoughts.
I still got one of the beer left.
So we said, look here, I actually have a client call. I have a call in a little bit. So
all right, you know what? Make this your final thought. We can end this episode based on everyone's final thought then.
Okay. My final thought is, I will say this, that I appreciate the three Black men that I'm seeing here. Essentially, three generations of Black men. Wow, three generations of Taylor men. I appreciate your appreciation for the Black woman, and I definitely, not to take anything away from you, Joshua Poole,
this is my first
but to hear,
Friday about to make money, so
great, but to hear Pops at 91 years old revere the Black woman is so doggone refreshing and liberating. So I appreciate that from all of you. I wish more women, more Black women, understood the power that we hold and walk with our crowns high on our heads. And I'll just leave it at that. Who's next, Josh?
Sade, what's your final thought for this episode? And thank you for being on this long. Wow. We ain't never had a guest last as long as
you don't ever last this long.
Right.
I'm making Dame Dash upset because I'm still working for another man.
Yeah. Holiday Joshua is different, boy. Usually, Sade, I'll tell you this, usually around the 1 hour mark, we could be mid-conversation. She'd be like, whoa. We gonna do final thoughts. Y'all can stay on, but I gotta go back to work. He shut us down quick.
See, Jeremy was on here last Thanksgiving. The Wild Out episode. So we're ready.
Okay, so final thoughts. So this was a roller coaster for me. I appreciate the conversation and the dialogue very much. So this was good. It was definitely good to hear, different perspectives from different generations. I think it's always very important, especially like for a historical context perspective. But yeah, I don't know. I think overall having conversations in general is extremely important discourse is extremely important for understanding. So I appreciate the invite. And I thank you for letting me or allowing me to share my thoughts. It's good.
You gotta add to it. Not thank you. What's your final thought on the situation?
Oh, which one?
I was gonna say, which situation, nephew? We've had talked about 39 of them.
I don't know. I mean, you know, Sade got wisdom. She could pick the correct answer to this question.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. Okay.
42.
What are my final thoughts?
Actually, you know what, Sade? I'm sorry. Plug your business. If you need somebody to do something for you, if you need somebody to rent out something, please let us know how they can reach you.
I don't have that type of business.
No, like, you know, just
Huh?
it is.
I mean,
So Sade she's a PMP at NASA right now. If you're looking for somebody in the technical field for that who's got experience, look for Sade.
The what field? The technical?
She's a technical PMP, so she's a
Oh,
project
it sounded like you
manager.
said tentacle. That's why I was just clarifying.
She's a project manager in IT.
Crystal lives
for NASA.
I have my cape on.
She can handle any interstellar or terrestrial technical business. But on the side of that, you know, Sade owns a bunch of housing and things. You know, she's a lord of the land, if you could think of it like that.
I guess maybe my email. So it depends. Like if someone has a question as it relates to real estate, or if they have a question as it relates to like IT, right? I'm open to helping anyone. So what do I do? Do I just say it, or are you just gonna
plug? You gotta plug yourself. We're trying to make you some money now.
Oh, so it's my first name, Sade, Sade. C as in cat, M as in Mary at gmail.com.
Sade, not like Sweetest Taboo Sade, because Uncle Pooh Bear still has his shirt on.
No, I was named it is like the Sweetest Taboo Sade.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're looking for Sade the singer, you're not gonna find it. But if you need a house, I use medical consulting. Consult this one. So like you said, Sade at what?
C as in cat, M as in Mary at gmail.com.
So if you're looking for that, please email her. Do not waste your time. She does hire security on staff. She will have you messed up. So Uncle Pooh Bear, continue with your plugging yourself as usual. This is Christmas time or holiday time. We try to make everybody some extra money.
So, well, my final thought is, Pops, I sent you another gift. None of the gifts are gonna arrive by Christmas, though. The books I just sent you. I think you're gonna love it. You know, we ain't get a chance to talk about a Jew, the Jew, a Negro, right? So that's what I'm reading right now. So that's on the way to you. I think you're gonna love it. Because y'all was talking that Ethiopia talk, you know, and they keep saying we Ethiopians, but that's all right. We
gonna talk about that in another episode. Trust me.
There's a whole nother conversation. And I ain't even get to talk Cuba with Dad because we were supposed to talk the Cuban vaccine. That's what I wanted to really discuss. You know, because if Cuba was behind this vaccine, I might actually take it, or I would consider it a lot more than I'm considering it now, which is zero. But so I guess we'll get into that next time, right? We have to talk
next week.
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm all right on the rest of it, but I enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed engaging with y'all. Looking forward to it next week. And Pops, I hope one of these books land, man. Like, I sent you some good stuff. I'm upset that they keep getting lost in the mail. I had to reorder you the Jew the Negro. I might have to just finish it and mail it to you myself. I don't know why it keep coming back.
I put your son, my grandson's in the mail today. So, but it won't be there for no Christmas.
Yeah, this last gift I sent you, it looked like it's gonna land after Christmas, but Crystal gave me a great idea, so that's gonna be great. So we're gonna talk a lot more.
Yeah.
What before I say this, don't nobody hang up after we stop streaming. Grandpa, what is your final thought for today?
My final thoughts for the day is I'm happy that I was able to find a solution to my problems, to my thoughts about the state of Cuba.
Of course.
Maybe next time we'll be able to go into it. Why I'm so pleased with what happened, you know. So my final
Yes.
thought is, rise, you mighty nation, and accomplish what you will.
Up you mighty
People
nation.
trying to do. Just people got their foot on their neck. They're gonna be a prime example of what's happening in the northern hemisphere. All you
I
gotta-
like that. That's gonna be it for this episode. We'll see you guys next week. Don't nobody hang up yet. But as usual, if you can meet anybody, message us. If you need some whatever, you know, we at least know somebody. So